Well, it's pretty obvious. It's been up, up and away. And then, of course, how high is high? There's been a lot of demand on the silver side, meaning, photovoltaics and all the industrial uses. Some more flows into the SLV. Saudi Arabia made almost 1 million share purchase recently. And the path of least resistance is obviously up, and we're obviously in a new bull market. That doesn't mean that we won't get some corrections along the way, which really are needed. We don't want this to be a runaway market. But as I was getting my first cup of coffee this morning, I was thinking about the $50 level, and we have that huge cup and handle that, I pointed out, many others have. And we're not there yet. I do believe we'll get there. I've been saying I doubt we'd see it this year, although we certainly could. But my thought was this, the 50 level is such a huge barrier for the silver market. I mean, in 1980, as I put out in my weekly perspective, it only lasted a matter of minutes. Some of the floor traders that are my age or older that are still around said it was a little longer than that, maybe an hour. And then, of course, in 2011, it actually didn't really print the 50 on the continuous futures on the spot market. It would have been in the futures. And there it lasted a while, a few days. But we've never been in a 50 handle where we had a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. So the point I'm making, and this is maybe ideology, but it's almost as if we get above 50, then we're winning. And if it stays below 50, the bankers are winning. That may sound a bit trite, but, there's been a lot of consternation around the manipulation. I don't want to go there. I addressed it in great detail in writing on Twitter, and I've done a couple of videos about it. You can look it up or come to my support, and I'll send you the link. But back to your question, it's going to be very, very interesting to me. Now, Michael Oliver, I have tons of respect for. He thinks we're going to, blow through it. I won't discount that much, especially coming from him and really, truly knowing what momentum is. But for my take, it's again psychological, and I do think it will stall out there. But I'm not trying to make me right him wrong. I don't really know. It's that kind of a gut feeling. But then I do agree with him. I think once we consolidate, maybe it blows off 50-ish, we get to 51 and stays there a couple of days, and then it closes at 48 and 47 and whatever. Anyway, I think the time it does go through, whether it's the next time or thereafter, that's a whole new arena. And I do think that the algorithms are going to pick up on the momentum, and the sky's the limit, because there's never been that territory in U.S. dollars. If you go into, the Indian rupee, or you go into Canadian dollars or Australian dollars, or all these, you're seeing new highs. These are all-time new, just like we see in gold in U.S. terms. But the U.S. market is one of the biggest markets, and certainly between London and the U.S., you have the most, let's say, visibility and perhaps opportunities to, at times, manage the price. Well, it's absolutely imperative. And, I listened to your interview with Bubba Horowitz, and, to make a really strong market, you need to go to different levels, get some corrections, and build a base, and build off a new base and a new base. And that's what's been happening. That's why I've been so pleased this time about how gold and silver are performing, because not only are they in a verified bull market, but that they're stair-stepping up more or less, which means there's a lot of support as the market moves back and forth. And in a bull market, most stock investors know, and I'm sure people that follow you know this as well, and that's to buy the pullback. And so when you're in a bull market and you get to 45 and it pulls back to 42, you can buy that pullback. Does it mean buy everything? No, but you can. So you're pretty much assured. So it's a very strong market technically because of those facts. It's not a runaway market where you just go straight up. That's what you don't want. So once we get trading above 50, it'll be very interesting to see, how it builds from there. And, how far it goes is, there's lots of projections out there. I mean, I was probably one of the first, if not the first, to say $100 silver back in 2003. And I based that, actually, I thought it was conservative because of the spike high of 50 in 1980. And if you just took the CPI and adjusted it for inflation based on the government's stats, which are a far cry from the real stats from Shadow Stats, John Williams' website, 100 was conservative. But we're not there yet. We're not at 50 yet. But I do think we're going to get there. And as you said, it could just go right through it. As Michael Oliver said, again, I don't really disagree. I just think that the powers that be want that psychology. They want silver investors to give up. They want the stackers to be discouraged. And a really good way to do that is to see something negative around that price point. So it's going to be fun. I'm just going to, enjoy the ride. I'm pretty certain we will get through it and move forward. Well said. I will add, and I've said this before, and you can agree or disagree. It's opinion. But silver was absolutely, in my studied view, the most emotional financial market that exists. Now it's second place because Bitcoin and maybe some of the other cryptos, but particularly Bitcoin, has more emotional attachment to it than silver. And I'm very happy about that because really to be a good trader or investor, you want to try to keep the emotions at bay and just, study the fundamentals, use technicals as appropriate and have a plan and stick to it. I mean, I've always taught that silver is my favorite metal from the monetary metals. It's the underdog metal. It's got the most potential. And yet it's a very frustrating investment at times due to what you outlined. I mean, to see, lead, zinc, copper, cobalt, you name it. I mean, anything you name across the board is at a higher price than the 1980 high, except for the silver market, which is really still opportunity. And it's going to be very, very interesting as the year plays out. I think we've got a few years left and we could have more as far as, where these metals are going to go. And really, you got to look at the flip side of the coin, which means the banking system. What are the banking elites going to do to mitigate this, let's say, run out of paper assets and into hard assets and to set up a new system, which obviously China's been doing theirs for years, that's pervasive throughout the Western world, primarily something like a CBDC or something along those lines. And so there's going to be, I think, this kind of a battle that takes place, or we're actually witnessing now, where it's just starting to see new troops form up on the side of hard assets that maybe came from the stock market, the real estate market, the bond market, or whatever. Well, obviously, your viewers, the listeners, will know. And, if there's other venues like yours out there, in fact, it's very interesting, this conversation, because I just had almost this exact conversation with a client just previous to this. I think I align with what Bill Holter and the late, great Jim Sinclair said, and I think that the bankers will try to institute a more or less cashless system unbacked, and then it will fail, just as you outlined in the Weimar Republic. And then they will come back with round two and say, okay, we're going to put gold into the mix. I doubt they'll put silver as a monetary metal. So I think that the psychology probably isn't big enough power in it to overcome, the first trial balloon of here's the new system, but it will fail and then go forward. So that's my take presently. I mean, if I see something new or new proposal or whatever, I could change my mind. But as I see it now, I think you outlined it perfectly. And it's sad because, these lessons get taught in an absolute manner, I'll say, every few hundred years, not every, 40 or 50, where the currency gets a new color or new size or new denomination or whatever it happens in the currency system. These are seminal events that take place where really the lesson should be learned from that point to your children's children's children. I mean, it should go for generations. You don't trust, unbacked made up digital digits to, to trade for your labor. But life goes on, and certainly that's the direction we're still going, as we both know. The trend is for more control, not less control. So we'll see. Absolutely. And I've seen it a couple times already. I can't cite the exact dates, but we had like a banking scare not that long ago. And, I've got the consultation tag up on my website, and it kind of ebbs and flows. I probably had not done a consultation for a year. And I got 3 in 1 month, and they were all people of high net worth that had never bought gold before. They wanted to not make a rookie mistake, asked, how do I do it? Where do I go? Should I store it? And all those kind of questions. And I think that's being revisited, except this time, instead of, whatever small percentage of the population acted last time, it's going to be a much bigger percentage. And the real estate market's not in good shape with the interest rates where they are, and with the commercial real estate being as in the sad a condition as it is after the illness, and a lot of people started working from home. These office buildings are not full anymore, and their shopping malls are not the place to be on the weekend anymore. So you're seeing a big shift in the commercial real estate market. And on the residential side, people just don't have the cash flow or income stream to be able to afford the average price house in many cases in many states. So, I don't want to overblow the doom side. I mean, these are the ebbs and flows of economies throughout recorded history. I mean, things get undervalued, fair valued, and overvalued again and again and again. And we go from a trusted monetary system to a questionable monetary system to a distrusted monetary system, and usually back to a trusted monetary system. So these aren't new things. The Ecclesiastes, nothing new under the sun, applies here. Eventually, yes. I think right now, everyone that's in what I'll call early